All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Bro Show. Once again, I'd like to extend my apologies for not being here last night. I've been terribly ill, but can't miss the Space Bro Show, so we're here tonight. And thank you for everybody hosting, obviously. All the people giving the host out there. And then we're going to go through the list here. We got, obviously, in the upper left-hand corner of my floaty background here, we have Kato. Kato's here with us tonight.
What's up, guys?
We have Zealous Fox in the house there with this usual avatar with this beautiful space helmet.
Hello.
And then we have Nighthawk Zale here with us, join us once again this evening. Welcome, Nighthawk.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
And of course, Mr. Stoutman's here, as always.
Hello, everybody.
There we go. All right, guys. So it's been a really good week for Star Citizen. We've all been waiting for 2.2, and it has dropped, and we've seen a few iterations of patches and stuff. So let's go around the table here and see what people think. We know Kato hasn't been able to get an invite in, and Zealous hasn't. But from what you've seen in it, Kato, were you kind of surprised on like the amount of content from you reading what they had in it, or what were you thinking?
I'm really excited about the mechanics that they added in. The anti-griefing, like the direction they're going with anti-griefing, I think is amazing, because it kind of makes it more enjoyable than more as a punishment. The punishment's built in and everything. I'm not going to get too into it, but I think that's pretty cool. Let's see, Saber. I've been waiting for that for a while. That's pretty awesome. I think... Oh, and just seeing how they changed the whole star system, like how before it seemed like everything was kind of in one area. Now it seems like it's spread out all over the place. I mean, it just adds a lot more to the experience, I think. Not that I've been able to participate, but from what I've seen on other people's channels.
Not to pour salt on the wound.
It looks pretty great.
I understand. Absolutely. Well, I know me and Zealous Zealous is always on the pulse of all the info, everything coming, everything going. He's always keeping me and a lot of other streamers informed with what's happening and whatnot. Zealous, what's your favorite thing you've seen on the streams and stuff happening with 2.2 so far?
That's a hard one.
Who grabs something? Maybe not your favorite. What's something that you've really enjoyed seeing people do? That was different from what you saw. Just the Saber?
Yeah, the Saber and the new rep system.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's probably going to be everybody's there.
Yeah, it's like you can't beat it. It's like the only thing I'm sad that I haven't got to see yet is the new assault rifle.
Oh, that's true, because they've had problems with it a little bit there, or they actually didn't include it. Not necessarily problems, but they haven't put it all the way in yet for certain aspects and whatnot.
Yeah, well, and I think it was like patch C. They added the pistol, and if you try to like pick it up, it like breaks your arm or something like that.
Yeah, typical PTU stuff, all that. Nighthawk, did you get an invite into 2.2?
I did
Good.
indeed.
So what have you thought so far?
So I know that a lot of people are talking about the reputation system, and I will say, yes, I really like this first iteration. I think it's a step in the right direction in terms of dealing with a lot of the trolling that has become fairly standard in Crusader. I find it very interesting how not only did they change the distance of some of the locations, but they went so far as to change the actual location, the positioning of that particular.
I find it more interesting now because when you warp around, it's like you actually have to go around the actual planet of Crusader. Because there's many times, like I'll be over at a repair station one side, and I want to go over like to the opposite side, and I can't go to that Cryastro without actually warping up and around, quantum drive up and then over or around the planets. Because, you have that collision metric in there. So that I do find that interesting. It makes it a little bit more dynamic, I guess.
But what I have to say is probably my number one favorite thing right now about 2.2 is the introduction of power plants, coolers, and a couple other things into the holotable, and your ability to swap those out now. Because now we're going to really start to see the customizability of these ships and how uniquely they can perform one Saber to the next, one Aurora to the next, because I've got a different power plant and it's running a different cooling system to support it. And yeah, my weapons are different, but who gives a crap about that? We've been doing that forever. What are you rocking under the hood? We can start to answer that question.
Every component you add into the metrics just makes that many more type of builds or variants or different decisions you have to make as a pilot on like how you want to outfit your ship.
That's the one thing I have not seen streamers really touch on at all was the cooling and the shielding. Other than Eric, Eric was the only person that I've seen them say anything about the cooling systems.
And I think it's because it's also a subject where nothing's set in stone. We're just implementing these. It's hard to like say, because I've seen a lot of people even ask me and like so what do you think the perfect fit is now? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's a sliding scale. We're not even on live yet. Don't even have a live push of this out. So I mean, it's way early to even talk about those things.
They gave like 2 of the aftermarket cooling systems to everybody that's testing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
The J-Span, which is the one that a lot of the older backers are given, and some other one.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get over here to Stout real quick. I want to ask Stout what he's liked the most. Now, I know me and Stout have had in-depth theory crafting talks about the reputation system because we are on opposite sides of the ball, so to speak. If we were on from the, I won't say pacifist, but because Stout likes to fight, but I am definitely more towards the griefing side of things. At least I have been up to this point historically in the PTU. So what do you think of the reputation system, Stout, and what else do you like that?
Well, it's just a start, and I think it's cool. I mean, it is what it is. I've been pirate level 5 a couple times, and half the server came and killed me really quick.
I love it.
I was doing science with WTFosaurus, so they were killing me, got me to level 5. Then he wanted to kill me to test something, and everybody else came and killed me first. So we did that twice a couple nights ago, but. So I think it's a step in the right direction. The thing with the new components is your rec doesn't carry over. So you can't just go rent a bunch of stuff like you're used to. So that's a problem. They need to fix that because going in there and trying to get rec and the damn things crash, it's really hard to get it. Okay, that's
a great point.
I've had that problem. So that's why nobody's doing it, because it's aggravating and it takes a lot of time.
Can't test a lot when you don't have the rec there.
The Saber's flying great. I've played all versions A, B, C, and D, and the Saber's flying great now. It's dogfighting awesome. I've had some dogfights around Korea that have been 5-10 minutes against another Saber or another ship, and I'm strafing really well, and I'm killing 2, 3, 4 for every time I get killed. So I'm doing pretty good. It's flying pretty good.
Yeah, I love the Saber. It really feels to me just like a heavier Gladius, and I love the way the Gladius flies. And you can put in a slide, you can maintain target, and it's got that quickness, but it feels like it's a medium light fighter, like it's supposed to. So I think they did a great job with the flight mechanics on it. I'm really impressed. And speaking of mechanics, EVA. I was so worried about EVA, and I think they did a bang-up job on it. I think the new EVA physics are pretty good. The one thing I can say is whenever I am not near a station and I eject from a ship, I have no control at all. Like I can't get to the station. I can't do that 5K, go EVA through space to get back over to Korea. I'm just pretty much screwed if you're so far off. If you're close enough to it, it's no problem. But if you eject out there, you have no ability to get there.
It's too slow, But
I don't know if anyone noticed.
They'll tweak it.
Yeah.
But with the new EVA model, they also introduced the new EVA HUD.
Yeah.
So you actually have some basic flight readouts on your HUD. You have 2 crosshairs. The center smaller one is basically your bearing, telling you exactly where you're located.
Which is interesting, but I have to be honest, I didn't feel like that really did anything for me. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was a huge benefit having this little HUD there because...
I know there were a lot of people who felt frustrated and confused trying to maneuver in EVA, and they would oftentimes put on the AR just for the sake of having the line in the center so they could see where they were going. And that's what I think is really interesting about the new HUD, because aside from that first bearing crosshair, there's a second larger crosshair that actually points where your head is located versus the bearing, because your chest or the lower your abdomen, that's basically where you move from in this new EVA format.
Instead
and
of your
that's where
feet,
the
like
main
the old
crosshair goes. So if you move your head around, there's a second larger crosshair that moves around with that. And if you're in motion, like in your ships, there's a squared I guess HUD icon that moves around and shows you exactly what direction you're currently moving in versus what your bearing is and where your head might be looking. So it's pretty intricate now.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't feel like I needed all that, but I guess it's nice that people are having some problems with it. And
another fun thing for the people that don't have it right now is like every single stream is like a death battle between streamers. Now, have you noticed that?
Yep.
It's like every single stream I go to, it's like, oh, somebody's like Farsalt killing.
I think a
some other
lot of that is because the streamers, most all the streamers got the PTU. Because we're really active in all the builds and stuff.
That's because what, like the streamers are automatically going to get in there if they're like major streamers.
It's like our volunteer job to play this game at every level.
It's because the streamers are putting in a lot of time. They're in all the PTUs, and they put in a lot of bug reports to make sure they get in it because they want to stream it.
And we should probably clarify, it's not just the streamers, it's content creators across the board. Like the YouTubers, a lot of the YouTubers got in as well. They spend so much time in the game trying to get their footage.
They're putting bug reports in, so they've earned it. I know I've got a ton of bug reports in there.
When everybody else
Issue
gets
council
bored
is
with the
big this
builds and stuff, we're in there anyway because either we want footage or we're testing something or we're helping somebody else test something. So we do spend a lot of time in there even when it's boring in previous builds. So it makes sense why they, issue it out to our characters a lot of times. It's not just because we stream. The guys that I know that are really active on the issue council that don't stream, don't do video, they're all in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's also really important because with a wave like this being so heavily populated with content creators, there is going to be a lot of coverage showing what the heck is exactly wrong with the build currently and why it should not go out to 1 million+ people, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there who don't want to deal with some of these bugs, some of these timeouts, some of these crashes, and they don't want to take the time to do the paperwork. They just want to be able to enjoy the game and appreciate what's been made.
Yeah.
So
that's a great argument against the fact I've heard a lot of people say, well, they just issued it to all the content creators, because of marketing or whatever. I'm like, CIG doesn't want to market their game with all the flaws in it, guys. They don't want to say, oh, look, this isn't working, this is broken. They're doing it to actually test and build the game.
They want the people who are going to give them the feedback.
Yeah.
And that's the people who got it from what I can
That's
tell.
why I like it.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, because I was getting in like every single patch before this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to do it, and I think they did it the right way this time. And I applaud also Will for releasing a post explaining, at least this time, how they were choosing people and all that, because there was so much confusion and argument over previous builds, like how people got chose to get in the PTU and all that stuff, which in the end, guys, I mean, they're going to try to push it out to everybody as soon as they can. They have to get these handled, get the next stack of bugs and build in the content and do it that way, the same way they do it every time. And they've gotten a lot faster at it now. So
didn't they say this is the way they're going to do it going forward all the way?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So if you don't put bug reports in, then you don't get in early, and that makes sense because otherwise you're just wasting their time. Even though they got the bug crash reporter helps, but still you got to confirm and type stuff in because the confirmations will give more info than the original poster a lot of the times.
And it also really helps when you can do short videos or screenshots to provide extra visual, because those visuals really do help them.
Yeah, even if you're not a content creator, guys, OBS is free. There's a free version of XSplit. You can download little clips and stuff. So when you're talking about something, some people aren't as affluent as others and they can't really explain it. Just show the video, do it that way. But please go through and make sure there's not already a bug report on what you're complaining about. I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges they've had with the issue council is people are putting up stuff saying this is what's happening, and there's like 50 posts of that same thing, and so Go through there and just affirming other people's reports is almost, if not more important than anything else. So that way it bumps that issue up to the top of the list, and it'll make it something more forward on their plate so they can deal with.
A lot of people probably think they'll get more credit because they posted a new report instead of just confirming one. It really doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't. I'll tell you right now, I've posted a total of only 2 reports, but I confirm every night I play. I confirm, I go through the list, and I do that. And I've been invited to every PTU. And I hardly ever post my own report. I always just confirm and go through that. And I think that's just as
did
important.
Once, but the day that the first 2.2 came out, I was showing a new guy around Crusader, and I had a bug where shortly after taking off with the Freelancer, my system just went dead. No thrusters, no nothing. And so I self-destructed the ship, got another one, and it died faster. I got a different ship. It lasted even shorter. And then got another ship, it lasted takeoff, and it died. And then the last one wouldn't even take off. So, I have no idea.
Yeah.
First time I ever flew a Sabre, took off from the launch pad, didn't even put power to the main engines. I barely finished ascending, and the whole thing just exploded. No reason whatsoever.
I think the first
glorious.
time I loaded in this 2.2 build, I spawned the Sabre, would go outside, Sabre would explode before I got in it. Spawned a Sabre, went outside, Sabre would explode before I got it. I was like, God, can I please get in one of these Sabres sometime? And it either disappear, get eaten by the ground, or whatever. I was like, I just wanted to fly it, But that's part of PTU, guys. This is how it is. But I mean, I was like, I really just wanted to fly the Sabre. I was like, oh my God, I just want to fly the ship. So...
Yeah, the first few hours were pretty bad that first night. It was hard to even stay in to even call a ship. Sometimes was hard.
Yeah.
I think my average play time was a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say another thing I'd like to point out that they added in, which isn't as important as everything else. I'm happy to see the Freelancer actually break apart and explode, like where it has physicalized damage to it instead of just turning into a floating coffin and sit there like a large turd and just sit there in space. Because then you can just run into it after you blow it up. Previously, now it actually breaks apart and it looks really cool. It breaks into like 3 or 4 sections. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So,
did you see that the UI team is going to start working on the holotable though?
Yes.
I know, and I really hope they do, because to be quite honestly, most of the reason even live builds I've default fitted everything is because I cannot stand the holotable. I really can't. And with them adding more components, it's just going to get more and more complex. I probably have entire video sessions of me playing Arena Commander cussing my ass off because I'm sitting there trying to fit the radar module on these ships, and I can't find it on the glowy ship somewhere. I'm like, where's the radar module to, or the shielding modules or whatever to put on there? I can't find them anywhere on the ship to fit anything. Or I'll fit missiles and they won't be in the right slots, and I'm trying to... It's just, it's really bad. And I wouldn't mind if it was even just a drop-down menu interface on the holotable. I don't care at this point. I just want to be able to fit stuff. I don't want to have to drag and drop, and hopefully I can see it, and hopefully I can't, and it's just a big pain in the ass. So a couple other things that was kind of, I guess, not really confirmed or anything. I guess we saw the Xi'an Scout go into the hangar and all that stuff. So a lot of people very impressed with that ship. Also, a little bit of forum blowback on the fact that it's a single-seater instead of a dual-seater, like what they originally planned. I guess a lot of people were bitching, according to Ben Lesnick, about that.
Well, I think the biggest issue is, like, we weren't really clear on its purpose. You know, like, up until it was being released, like, even you and I were sitting there having discussions on what is the purpose of this ship.
Well, they call it a Scout. And they outfitted almost as much damage as like some of the light fighters, right? I mean, it's like,
well, yeah. I mean, it turned into, whether or not it was the original plan from the beginning or not, it turned into a fighter ship. And at that point, what's the point in having 2-seaters aside? like, okay, I could see 2 seats for a turret, but like in a fighter ship, there's no need for 2 seats right there in the front.
Unless it's a trainer. But there's no point in having a trainer in there.
I think that ship's changed the most from its concept to when we've actually seen it now. Because originally it's supposed to be entirely encapsulated, have no windows. And
Yeah.
it's gone from that to an entire like visual bubble, which is still cool. It looks really neat when you're in it. But it was a scout ship, and I still don't understand, and this has been a sensitive point with me, I still don't think there's truly a scout ship in the game that has any like extra radar facilities or anything like that.
Well, we don't even know like radars. You know, we've talked about this before on the show. You know how radars are going to change, or if they'll be exactly what they are now, or.
I will say, I do kind of remember early on when they were talking about the Jean Scout in concept, they were comparing it at times to the 350R and the M50. So in some ways, it's not surprising to me that it dropped from a 2-seater to a 1-seater. Those kind of really high-speed maneuverable ships need as little weight on board as is possible.
Yeah.
And it only makes sense with the way that the main thrusters kind of flower out, and the whole wing is vectored to go with the thrust. I mean, I can't wait to see it in flight.
This
I
thing
think it's going to look beautiful, especially if they do like the engine trails like they do on the on the Mustangs and stuff like that. I think it'll look really cool.
It has a very Flight of the Navigator feel to it, I think.
Yeah. You can see that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what's the purpose of it? I mean, it's just a scout.
No, it's a fighter ship.
Well, that's why I brought it up.
It's a really
like
expensive
the M50 and the
scout ship.
350R in that they were introduced as racers. And even the Jean Scout, for quite some time, was talked about over and over again as a racer. And so with the 350R, it's labeled as a racer. The M50 is labeled as an interceptor. And the Jean Scout is labeled as a scout. But essentially, they're all the same kind of ship. It's very lightweight. It's very maneuverable. It's meant to get into a location, give you some kind of visual confirmation, maybe pick up some kind of radar data or something,
Well,
and run it back to you.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I don't think it's even defined its role yet. It's shifted so much even within CIG on like where it lies. It's a scout ship. No, it's a light fighter. No, it's this and that. You know, I just don't think they've defined it yet. And I think the main thing is people are complaining like it's evolved so many times, and at its price point, they were like, what is it? What did I buy?
Exactly. I don't get the ship. I mean, it looks cool, but to me, it's like it doesn't seem like it's going to be durable. It seems like it's going to be brittle and fall apart.
I understand
they
it.
said that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But its main point is the shields. But this thing's going to have a serious power plant because it has twin size 4 guns.
Well, then it'll make a really cool mushroom cloud when I blow it up with one shot.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's so paper thin. There's no excuse you can come up with to make that thing like have good armor or something. I mean, it is frail.
It looks worse than the Gladius.
Well, and
armor.
I would be okay with all this and all the basics of it if it was actually defined and had role enhancements for being a true scout. Because a scout ship's supposed to be light and all that stuff. But the minute they have like size 4 guns on it, it blew my mind. I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, if size 4 guns on it, it's not really a scout ship then anymore. And they're like, no, it's a light fighter. And I'm like, what? I don't understand what you've done. It's called the Scout. Why don't you call it the Xi'an Light Fighter?
It's just a funky looking alien ship that they wanted to sell. That's just all I see.
Somebody came out with a cool design and they wanted to sell it, and they just like, hey, I don't know what it's for. Just fucking draw it.
Yeah, same thing with the M50. This is just M50 Part 2.
Yeah.
And
The
the thing should be
M50 is useful and is proven to be a good ship, but the Scout I just don't get.
Oh yeah.
We'll
Well, I
see
think
when it flies. That's going to be the defining moment. If it flies really cool and you can do some crazy shit with it that you can't do with other ships, then that'll be it. If you get in it and it flies exactly like an M50, everybody will be like, what the fuck? That's basically
And
what
also,
in
we're
theory,
looking at the customization with the component system, and that's really going to allow players to kind of determine its role based on their personal needs. So I think that as what's the right term I'm looking for? As disambiguous as the ship is right now, I think it also allows for a lot of customized control right there in the player's hands.
But yeah, in theory, that the Scout should be approaching in speed is around the M50 and 350R, but be much more maneuverable than both of those.
Yeah.
They're changing all the ship speeds and stats so fast. It's like we don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be
I agree.
it's going to be towards the beta when we finally get close to what it's going to be. So I don't even bother speculating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did
It's
you read
pointless.
that first on the 2.2 PTU launch? If you went through the 4 pages of patch notes on it, they literally had a whole section of like all the ships that are fast are now slower. All the ships that are slower now.
Yeah.
That's all they had to say. Instead of itemizing every one, it's like all these.
No,
are speed
I kind of read it as like it was just all around slowing down. I thought they were slowing everyone down.
No,
Did
there's
they
a couple
actually?
they speed
No, there
sped
was-
up.
The
Yeah, there was
Gladius
some
was
ships.
quite sped up. It was like it gained like 20, 40 meters per second.
And they,
And
slowed
they
down
did it at
ships that
both
should have,
SCM
like,
and
point.
Cruise.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that sounds like balancing.
Yeah.
To me, it does a little bit,
They're
but at the same
balancing?
time,
They nerfed way too many. The Constellation got way slow.
yeah.
It's like I'm sorry, but they
overdid
you don't want to have it take too long for people to get places. In Star Wars Galaxies, learn that the hard way. You don't want to make people wait 20 minutes for a shuttle. It's a waste of people's time, and they are not thinking about that right now.
Well,
They-
on top
they
of that,
need to.
if you bring everything,
Elite Dangerous.
yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Don't
The
don't
choo-choo
don't
train.
bring it Fleet Dangerous and traveling.
Yeah. The problem also is even at SCM, if you bring everything to a medium level, there's no dynamics in the fighting. It's like everything starts to fly at the exact same speed. Everything can overtake each other. It's just kind of like you have everybody just flying the same way. Because even let's say you have a highly maneuverable ship like I don't know the Xi'an Scout, right? And you're in there, but if your base speed is like really close to what a Hornet's is. I don't know. What's the purpose of the ship? It can't get away from it, and it can't intercept it. I mean,
No, but they can pull around. They can get better angles on the
that's true.
I
But
mean,
in my mind,
it's
let's
a-
say you're not fighting.
top speed isn't everything. I mean, maneuverability, I think, is going to be a huge factor in this game. Like
I
right now,
agree.
we're looking at okay, so this one's max velocity is 300 meters per second, and this one's like 280. It's like okay, they're really comparable, but
Yeah.
when you break it down and how they're designing the game, like these ships essentially have centers of not essentially, they do have centers of mass.
Yes.
You know, and that's all going to affect how it flies. So, I mean, even if the top speeds are comparable, I mean, you're still going to have a lot more factors that come into play when you're talking about dogfighting.
I don't know. I think, there's not every scenario is a dogfight.
Well,
There's gonna
we're
be
also-
times. There's gonna be times like say I'm doing a freight haul, right? And I want to get away. I'm gonna choose a ship or try to fit a ship, then get the hell out of there. Not sit there and dogfight somebody. I'm gonna want to be able to move. Or if I'm, doing something
Well,
where I want
I
more
don't-
defense to do that. So
Yeah, but I don't know many cargo haulers with a full load of cargo that's going to be able to outrun much of anything.
well, what about when they bring the Herald online and it's a data runner? You would hope you could GTFO
Well, that thing's
out
a
of there.
giant freaking thruster. I mean,
I-
that thing
well,
should be able
It's a-
to out.
it's a
It
thrust with the
should,
cockpit
but
on.
hopefully they don't nerf it medium on that too, and then it's like everything flies the same.
We're also discussing this at a point where they're trying to balance the factory settings for ships. We're not even talking about how this is going to completely go out the window as soon as thrusters and engines are introduced into the component system.
And then
Yeah.
then you have the engine tuning kits to
Yeah.
tune
And-
the advanced engines.
But that even strengthens the point more. Let's say that we have something like a Gladius and a Hornet that fly at the same speed. In my mind, a Gladius should fly a little faster. If you tweak that Hornet up, that Hornet's doing circles around the Gladius, and the Gladius is totally nerfed because he didn't tweak his engine up. I mean, it's like, I think
Right.
some factory settings, if I buy a Kawasaki Ninja versus a Harley, my Ninja is going to have a little bit faster acceleration right off the jump, just factory. than what the Harley is. That's just the way it works. Both are great bikes. That's just the way it is. I just don't want to see everything go to factory neutral, because then you have the argument of, like, if I'm going to tweak this, is this more tweakable for speed than this is? And this is more thrust than this is? Is this, like, are all the tweaks the exact same? That's one of those things. We'll just have to see if they play that out. But
that's going to be going on for years after
Yeah.
release. It's
Absolutely.
pointless. It's pointless to even talk about it right now. We don't even know what components they're going to have on the ships.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, that's just talking about all the thrust power of the thing. How hot is it? How much power does it need?
Well, yeah. All I'm saying, and the whole point is, we don't have to get in details on it, because like Stout said, it's all still up in the air and stuff. I just want to see grand differences to at least some degree in the ships and how they fly and thrust and maneuverability when they come out. That's it.
Oh, I'm sure there will be, but right now I see them going from one extreme to another just for testing and data collection, plus to
Yeah.
see how we react to it. So
Yeah.
they're just playing with us
They're
right
playing
now,
with my
and
emotions.
they're learning how they're going to do stuff down the road. And that's
Yeah.
cool. That's what they got to do.
Yeah, that's what they did with the Gladiator. Remember when it was like the Almighty God, then it was like, completely worthless. Now it's kind of
Yeah.
working again.
They tweaked it again. I had one CIG guy get into my channel and say, "Have you flown the Gladius?" I'm like, "No, let me get it now." And I start flying, and then he wants feedback on it, and it was awesome. It was awesome compared to what it was before. So I flew it for an hour and gave him all kinds of feedback. That was like the first night, I think.
Yep, and speaking of ship updates and stuff like that, I noticed in RTV today they had a little breakdown on all the ship statuses, which I appreciate INN again for giving the cliff notes. They do such a great job with that stuff. So you get the whole thing, and I even watched on. I don't know if you guys ever watch Nikki D'Angelo's Ben's Day video stream. She does a really good job. I like that too.
Yeah, Ben slipped up, we know.
Yeah, he always slips up. But I've noticed that, like, it seems like, and this is just normal, it seems like a lot of the ships are just getting, at least any of the bigger ones, they keep talking about long-term schedules and push down and all that stuff. And I just, I don't know what their overall prognosis is. Are they still looking to release, like, the main game at the beginning of next year? Or do they think
It's resource management, because to do an 890 or something,
Yeah.
you could do 10 small ships in that amount of time. So seriously, the ships are, some of those ships are just so big and so complicated.
Well, yeah, and they keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
And-
nothing getting smaller in this game.
If you notice, they actually listed the Karak simply as moved up. And that is because Gurmok and a couple of other people in the office have started revisiting the Karak, but they'll come in and they'll take a look at something, and then they have to go back to another project, and then
Yeah.
they'll come back to it, and they might move something over, and then they have to go back to something else. So they're very tight on personnel as resources, and they're having to balance that out constantly to figure out where they need each person based on their talents at what time. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, it's just because they said that, like, on just going over the notes here real quick, they said that the Prowler guy is pushed out later this year for the concepts on that. Talk about the Banu, Merchantman, of course, everybody's little, oh shit, anytime anybody mentions the Banu, it's long-term schedule. Everything's 890 jumps, long-term schedule. Everything's going long-term schedule. I did see the Herald, though. They said it was like they're finishing up the Herald over at Austin. I was like, that was kind of interesting, because they had said they had worked on the Herald a little bit, and then they just kind of like didn't talk about it for a long time.
Well, they said they were
Well-
nearly done with the Herald.
Well, they've said that about a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, but like you guys said, art assets and everybody gets pushed around a lot.
And
depending
they're
on what's
also
there.
pushing around a lot of the ship projects, because if you remember towards the end of last year, they did mention that they're going to start moving ship projects based on manufacturer, and each office is going to have dedicated manufacturers that they specifically work on. And I think that Austin is in charge of the Drake manufacturers and one other, but they're very limited over there in Austin because they're
I think
also
it was
working on the
Drake and
PU.
Misk.
So when you got different artists working on a ship now, it is going to be a transition period. Plus, they got to kind of finish up with what they're already doing before they can get to it. So you've
Absolutely.
got a lot of shifting around of projects, and more so than the personnel.
Yeah.
So it's just a transitionary period.
And I know the UK for sure is doing Aegis, and I'm pretty sure they're also doing Anvil, which makes sense because they're doing Squadron 42.
I think that the UK also has their hands in MISC. I think that they're sharing that one with Austin because they're like the Starfarer, for example, is necessary to Squadron 42. So they were working on the Starfarer for a while.
They're hopeful the Starfarer will be in the 2.3 patch. I mean, they're really hoping that's going to drop in that.
It would be nice to see.
It'd be nice to see.
Even if they don't have the refuel mechanic in place, it would just be nice to see to have another large ship.
But I do agree. I do agree that from what they've been saying lately, like we don't want to put ships out when the mechanic to support them isn't there. And I agree with that standpoint because it's nice to see the ship in your hangar and it's nice to see it there. But I mean, if the gameplay and most of the aspects aren't ready, then we can't test it. And if you just could fly the ship around and you can't test the mechanics, then bring the mechanics online, they don't work, then they have to put it back, through all the cycle and fix all that. And
I already see two very important functions for a ship of that size in this game.
Yeah.
And they don't really have to do much to build them in. They're already there. Number one, first and foremost, flying a ship around of that size, you're basically flying an FPS arena. And you can invite people in to enjoy the FPS combat aboard your ship. Alternatively, you could just be running a frickin' party boat. Come on over, guys. Open whichever hatch you want. Let's dance in the storage compartments and take a tour of the ship. And when you're done,
I would
get back
agree
on
with
your
you.
ship
They're
and
gonna have
get
to
the hell
turn
out.
online the ability to shoot pilots in their ships though first before that'll ever become fruition. But so I understand it goes to the anti-griefing mechanic, but now that we got the rep system coming online, I predict we'll see that happen very soon. I think in one of these upcoming builds, they'll make it to where you will be able to have like FPS inside the ship. Because if you kill a guy, your criminal rating will go up. I mean, you're going to get that rep hit no matter what if you're in that type of monitored space. So I can see it being okay now for people like Disco Lando to hide in your bathroom. And then when you take off and you're flying your ship, he'll come out of the bathroom and he'll shoot you in the back of the head and take your ship.
Well, but there's going to be the owner's going to have the ability to not even let you on the ship. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so lovely.
you're not going to have strangers sneak on and do stuff anymore.
No.
That's the big problem.
It'll
That's
only
just
be your
completely
family and friends
that's
that
just-
can betray you.
That's just only griefing is the only reason for that.
Yeah.
Me and Eric were talking about some of the shielding and the trade-offs between like gun types, like lasers versus ballistics, and what a ballistic gun should do to a shield. And he was like, well, let's try doing like 40% and from the 60% damage right now. And I was sitting there like, and I talked to multiple people about this. Like, some people it's like 20%. Some people think no, just shields should be penetrated by the ballistics at all.
Yeah, they shouldn't work at all. It's 900 years in the future. You can't block a bullet.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
serious.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Get serious.
But here's the thing, and this has always been the standpoint because we've had this argument every space game I've ever played. Shields should burn more energy to block more ballistics. Like if you dump a bunch of ballistics on it, it burns more energy. If your generator, if it outreaches the capacity what your shield can regenerate, sure, but it's still hit point vary. You should get no damage on your hull from a ballistic hitting a shield
Until the shields go down.
until the shields go down. And there
Right.
you go. So that makes it a lot more interesting gameplay because then you have to think about how am I getting the shields down. Then I can penetrate the hull with my ballistics, but you have to have some sort of balance to do that, whether it's a missile variant with like an EMP or whether it's laser combo with ballistics on your loadout of your ship.
Or if it's a Preacher or armament ballistic Gatling that has double feed ammo, where you can put EMP rounds in there.
Yeah, or you just dump enough rounds where you burn up their shields and then you go right through it and that's it. But it seems like, and it seems like from people I talked to, Chris Roberts really is hung up on the shield penetration type metrics, where he likes percentage of the bullet to do damage through the shields, and I don't agree with that. But again, it's his video game. I'm just living the dream sitting here.
And every time we quantum jump, our ship should be destroyed. You know.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but that's
Space
just
trash.
if you want realism and immersion, you got to be a little bit realistic on the ballistics. I just don't agree with it.
I honestly think it's more fun to have it that way. I think it makes people, because otherwise, here's what people do. If you have shield penetration with ballistics, people just go, give me all the ballistics I can possibly have. Give me the most tracking missiles I can just dumbfire or auto and just track everything. And so I just blindly fire missiles and I shoot machine guns at you and you're dead. And I don't even need to consider lasers as an option.
That's what they're doing now. There's no skill in that. There's no skill whatsoever. Flavor of the day.
The original plan was that you had 3 different options. You go full ballistics, but you would need
dominate.
Wait, well, no. I'm talking about the original idea. Was you can go full ballistics, but you're going to not do anything basically alone. So you would need somebody else with lasers to take the shields off for you.
Or an EMP weapon.
Or an EMP weapon, yeah. Something to remove the shields for you.
Yeah.
Then you had the balance of ballistics and lasers.
Yeah.
And then you had full lasers. Basically, you shouldn't have a option of full ballistics unless you have somebody else to remove the shields or something else to remove the shields.
And again, I think you can go full ballistics, but the thing you have to consider, and this is because they're basing it on energy usage, right? Because the component system and all that stuff, they want you to have all this. They need to look at shield regeneration timers, and that's what EVE Online does. So the better shields you had, or whatever, you'd be able to regenerate those hit points faster. Because armor doesn't regenerate, right? Yeah. It's armor's your hull. Unless you're out there have a guy hanging on the side of your ship with a repair gun, it's not going to regenerate while you're in combat.
Still, let me weld this back in place.
Yeah, it's like, holes, let's patch them up. So you have shield regeneration going on while they're being fired at, right? But that's based on your parametrics and what type of shield rechargers you have and that sort of stuff.
Now,
I think that's where the focus needs to be. So you can use ballistics, and if you could out DPS the shield regeneration rate, that's the degradation what you have hit points wise. So if you can dump a lot of DPS on them fast, you can still penetrate the shields and do all that because the shields will go down. But shield penetration is just a terrible thing. It's a terrible idea. 20%, 40%, 100%, whatever the fuck. It's stupid. It should be all or nothing. If shields are up, they block shit. If shields are down, they don't block shit. It's real easy. I think it'd save them a lot of math, too.
The size of the shield should matter also. Like a higher level shield should be harder to penetrate and block more.
But you can do that with regeneration rates too, because you have a hit point matrix of how large these huge shields, way more hit points. You can come up all day with a Gatling gun on a small ship. It's not going to go through those shields because the regeneration rate is for like a 1 million hit point shield is going to be like, it's regenerating 5,000 hit points a second. I mean, you're not going to do that little ship.
Oh, you shooting 20 mil to bat me? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. But a big ship could volley one blast at it. It's like, well, we just hit you for, 10 million points, so your shield's gone on the left side.
It's the Mantis is 220s. That comes out shoots you. You don't give a fuck. Hey, Idris comes up behind you and shoots you with the railgun. Then you give a fuck.
But then the other side of that too, what we had in EVE was the fact that, okay, if your shields go down in your large ship, it takes a lot longer to regenerate those because it's a huge hit point thing. So if it's down, you have to flank and maneuver that ship because the shields are out. And it takes a long time to get it back, even on a large ship, to get up to like 10 million hit points or whatever it would be. So I think regeneration rates would be a lot more fun and interesting than it would be that. Because you also have, in this game, unlike EVE, it was all or nothing. Your shields are up or down, that's it. In this game, you might have 6 to 20 different shield panels on like a capital ship. You have no idea. So you might knock down one part of a shield somewhere, but, I mean, all the rest of the shields are still up. So...
But this brought out the other argument up was, trade-off of the ballistic weapon was mainly the ammo. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you're going on a long camping trip, you bring extra food. If you're going out to a deep space, you might want to bring extra bullets.
If that's your main thing of what you're using, yeah. But that's also that is CIG's argument for lasers. Instead of saying lasers are really effective against shields and ballistics don't do shit to them, which I prefer, they say, well, you have limited ammo when it comes to ballistics. But that's pointless because I never ran out of bullets before I blow up at least 2 or 3 ships. It's just like, and if you lowered the amount of ammo you would have on your ship to make it viable, like, and balanced, it wouldn't be fun to fly because you'd be out of ammo after killing one ship and then you'd be defenseless. So again, it's like
I'm talking about like bringing extra bullets on a separate ship. Like, you would have more ammo for your fighters on an Idris.
Well, yeah, I assume they're going to have that.
Well, the ships don't hold that much ammo now. 500 rounds, I blow through that pretty
I'm
quick.
talking about an extra ship carrying extra ammo for.
So you're talking
fighters.
something like the Merlin when it's docked to the Constellation. Constellation would carry in its cargo hold extra ammunition for the Merlin's T-19.
Well, that's restocking supplies. That means you got to stop fighting and go back and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and it's like, if you're not bringing extra ammo for your fighters after the battle, that's your fault. I'll blame the Idris to pack the potatoes instead of ammo.
Well, but the ships need to be, if they're going to have ballistics, you need to have more than 500 rounds. You got 500 rounds current day. 900 years in the future, you should be able to have 5,000. The ship's bigger. I mean, it's got room to hold it. 500 is, I run out of, if I fight ballistics, I run out of it, and I don't like ballistics. That's one of the main reasons. It's like, it becomes useless.
I don't know. When I used to go to the shooting range in real life, 500 rounds ain't shit. I mean, you go through 500 rounds target shooting in real life now, no time.
I mean, if you're a good pilot, you're blowing up 3 or 4 ships, and then you run out of ammo, and it's like, and you're barely even damaged. You want to keep going, not go get resupplied.
I know, but I mean, something again to consider is like, okay, are we looking at this from an arena commander, unlimited respawn standpoint, or are we looking at it? I mean, we don't know what combat's going to be like in the PU. How many people are you going to run into? They're going to be hostile. That you're going to be fighting 4 or 5 or 6 guys at a time. I'm not sure that's going to be really common in the PU unless you're going against like org battles, like 2 orgs are going to war with each other. Yeah, you might see that.
I'm not talking about like just going, a system or 2. I'm talking about long distance.
There's not going to be restocking stations everywhere. There's not going to be Cryastros constantly.
Yeah.
Not in some systems it won't be for sure. And plus, I have to base, like, if you look at even the comlinks when they spawn pirates, they spawn about 5 pirates, 5-6 pirates when the comlinks come on. I mean, if it's higher level AI, I run out of ammo against some of those guys sometimes. It's like I'd have to go restock. So even if you're just a mission runner inside the game, you're going to want a different supply ammo. But I think that also varies based on ship. If you're a short-range fighter ship and you're a carrier-based type vessel, you're going to only do those shorter-range missions where you have to go restock all the time. But if you're in like a Vanguard or something that's more a longer-range vessel, you should have a lot more ammo.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to go on longer-range missions. I mean, you're not, hey, let's land every 3 minutes and get ammo. I mean, but it just depends on the type of ship you're in. So I think if it has like a bed and a food service area and all that, maybe you should have some more ammo in it. Just think, because if you got to sleep to get to where you're going, you probably need more bullets than everybody else.
You could be in quite a few fights before you get there.
Absolutely.
Especially with how half the people want to be a pirate,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's one thing I noticed, going back to the reputation system, when the first version, the 2.2.0, well, 2.2.0A actually, because the O was like not stable enough for me to stay in to do anything. I tried to go, I was trying to go pirate, to test that metric with the reputation system and all that. And I was having a hell of a time to get to level 5 without setting it up and just killing a buddy and doing all that, because I couldn't find people to kill. That I'd get locked in my room and I'd lose a level of criminality just trying to get back to my ship. And I was like, wow, it actually takes work to get to level 5 in this. So,
well, the 10 minute per level is really fast now for testing, and down the road it'd be more like an hour or a day.
Yeah. A day might be a little ludicrous because it's like if you sit there and get kicked off the server, I don't know what you do then. It's not like in a persistent universe. What happens then? You kicked off the instance?
No, you don't wait. It's an out. I'm talking like a day for a point to drop off, not for you to be locked out of the server.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, but right now it's the way they do level 5s, right? If you're level 5 and you die, they kick you.
Yeah, but you can log back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't kick you from the game. You just can't go back into that server.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense because you've been griefing X amount of people for so long. I'm sure those people are probably tired of hunting you down. So they'll pull you from that instance, allow those people an opportunity to cool down, and give you an opportunity to continue playing as whatever sort of criminal or pirate you want to play
You're
as.
no longer a criminal, right? Because
It's
you
a-
come back in, you're not.
Well,
It's
right
a
now,
deterrent
because
if you
of
want
the
to
lack
stay
of
with your friends
persistence.
too.
But they have talked about really wanting to hunker down and focus on persistence for the sake of being able to transfer reputation from server to server, for the sake of being able to transfer your character's health and location and stats at the time of save and exit to the next start of gameplay.
We're
so
going
on
to
and
have
so
to do that with the economy and all that stuff anyway,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah,
we'll
so
have
they're
to do
really
that stuff,
trying
so-
to get that in place, and that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
Persistence is going to be.
Yeah.
I've been really happy with the rep system because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're going to hate it now, Mitachi, because this." I'm like, "No, that's what I wanted. I wanted a system that I felt was fair and balanced, and it also gives you even if you commit some act of criminality, ability to come back from that. You can come online erase. It creates a mission set, creates something work for you to do.
Yeah, and it
So-
also shows
so
us
it
a level
eliminates-
of player interactivity that we haven't necessarily seen yet, because up to now, the most immersive style of player-based interactivity is the creation of an SAR mission, where sometimes you have to go and pick someone up from Yela or Kovalex and bring them back to Port Olisar. But now you can start hunting people down. Now you can go out and start acting like a policeman or a criminal, or I mean, the options are slowly starting to expand.
Oh yeah, and once they add
Exciting.
cargo and hauling into this, it'll create opportunity. So then, as a criminal or a pirate, you decide, okay, I'm going to take a hit for this, but is it worth hitting that target and getting a level of criminality to do it? Is it worth me offlining an array and hitting this guy to try to steal his stuff? Because I'm going to get a penalty for it. But at the same time, so a lot of people, because pirates necessarily aren't griefers. They're not there just to
Right.
blow you up. They want your stuff. Right now, it's more highlighted on griefers because there's no reason just to kill people over and over again, other than just to torment them or just
Just have fun. Killing shit.
Yeah, you're,
There's no stuff to take now, so there's
Yeah.
only kill.
Inventory
yeah.
will change
Once
that.
there's stuff to take, then it's a whole different metric on there. So then it's like you'll have a lot more people wanting to kill people to take.
It's gonna be
stuff.
like Ark Survival Vault of when you
But-
hit that person and spend like an hour or breaking into their base and steal all their shit. It's worth it.
Exactly. And what you get from that is then you have people that normally wouldn't commit those type of crimes deciding the value of committing the crime. Does he have enough stuff to where it's worth me doing that? Or should I leave him alone because I don't want the criminality because I won't be able to go to port and do my stuff? So a lot more balance, and it makes it a lot more interesting.
Do I want to attack that Aurora?
Yeah.
Or do I want to attack that freelancer?
Definitely, most people that want booty would go after the freelancer, right? We're not going to try to go get the Aurora because it's like, wow, he's got a real load.
Unless he's just sitting there alone and you got 5 guys and you just go pop him.
And that's
Maybe.
what defines griefers through pirates. That's
Unless-
the difference.
And there's always the option that, if they're working together, the freelancer could be the decoy carrying the least valuable items, and the Aurora could have the most valuable
Absolutely.
item in its single cargo container. So you
could
never
have
know.
smugglers and all sort. You don't know what they're carrying. I mean, it's
They're going to have scanners to tell you what the ship's carrying. They've already talked about stuff like that. So
Yeah, but
And
there's
that
But
will
also
they've
work to
also
some
talked
effect.
about E-War being able to fight against that.
Yep, and they've talked
And
about special
shielded holes.
Shielded holes.
Yeah.
They've talked about special smuggling tubes that you can make look like anything. So it's not just like, oh, we know that's a smuggling tube, so it's always looks like that. We just look for that, and that's it. So they're going to make it interesting.
it's going to take a lot of years to get all this stuff working together
I'm telling you.
in a manner
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, the amount of stuff that we want them to do and they want to do themselves is this game's going to go on for decades at this rate. I mean, it's just the way it is. There's no way to put all this in the game, I think, before launch. I don't see it.
No.
All right.
be missing a lot of stuff at launch.
I agree. I think that it will be, but that's okay with me. I don't care. As long as I get the base game and a lot of the.
You got to cut it off somewhere so you actually have a launch.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. You know, as long as you have a fleshed out universe and you have the basic stuff. I mean, and you can explain it through lore, right? A lot of discovery, a lot of new stuff comes online, a lot of new ships come online. You can explain a lot of that stuff in just developmental in the game, and that's the beautiful part of like MMOs and stuff. You can just keep adding stuff to them.
And they've always done it, so people are used to it.
Absolutely. All right, so I think the one thing we didn't touch on that I want to touch on before we go to just like open Q&A or talk or anything like that was the lobby system and the party system are working, in my opinion, awesome. I think they're working really well. I'm not really excited about the UI aspect, but I don't care. It's testing, it's alpha, it's working. I can actually crash to desktop from the game, do the report out, and I can get back in the game with my friends, back in the party, and I never leave it. You know,
It works good, yeah.
It works really good, and I really have to applaud CIG on that. They've done a great job on going from like us not having anything and having to try to queue sync to get into the server to now you can have a party and actually get in there and enjoy the game with your bros. And I can't wait till just even that aspect goes to live. People are going to love that. And I think you're going to see a huge increase in population because of it. Because that was the primary complaint of new pilots to me was they could not get in the game and play with their friends.
Right.
And
Speaking
I
of
think
an
this will do it.
increase in population, I think it's good to make point. 'Cause I don't think any of us have discussed it yet tonight. PTU is currently at 24 players per instance.
Yes. Yeah.
Will
I tend to
that
overlook
carry
that
over to live?
Because they've done 24 before, right? And then they reeled it back immediately, going, no, not yet. And
Yeah, that was only out for maybe
No, it was
a day.
It was one day, and it was just a test, just
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
how it handled, and they were happy with the results.
Yeah.
That's
But
all
so
it was.
far, it's been in all 4 patches of 2.2.
Yep.
So it makes you wonder, will we actually be seeing 24-player instances in live
I
when we
think-
bring
I think we
2.2 to
will.
live?
I think
because-
we will.
That's also really going to help with overall player population.
Yep. Absolutely.
Combination of those two.
Absolutely. And I think you need that, especially with the party system online, because when you have it reserves slots for your party, so that way if you're in a group of 4 or 5 buddies, you can go
Yeah.
in there and you got plenty of room. When it was like when you're sitting there at 16 and you start reserving 2 or 3 slots, it makes it really small. And then there was no guarantee those guys could even get in there with you. So, I mean,
And
it just wouldn't work. But now
that-
it seems a lot better.
And what was it, like 6 people who crew a hotel later too? So you need 6 people, 6 of those slots to be reserved to fly one ship. So
No. Yep. What did Free Leecher say? This IP address has been seen to grief on a different account. Beware. What was that in chat? I have no idea what he's talking about. Anyway,
Well, if you're really curious,
I am really
he
curious because
asked
we're going to switch to
earlier,
chat mode anyway.
Will a dual account where people grief with one account and not with another affect their clean account?
I don't think so.
I think
I
it's
don't
going to be
think so.
separate accounts or separate reputations.
And I think that's a lot of reason
Yeah.
why people would own 2 accounts because the reputation's so important. You could have a pirate and you could have a truck driver that has a great rep with the UE.
that's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah,
have
so
right now.
that kind of leads into this IP has been seen to grief on different account. Beware that. So he's just kind of talking about he probably has 2 accounts and griefs on one and doesn't on the other.
Wow. I
People
don't,
could brief on one, steal stuff, and then give it to their good guy to benefit him. That's going to happen.
I'll tell you right now, Chris Roberts is not against griefing. He's fine with griefing. He just doesn't want to ruin people's experiences either. So it's a balance. I mean, you got to be, if you want to torment and do stuff to a certain point. If a person makes silly decisions to get out there and expose themselves, that's fine. But you always, as anybody who makes games or has been a part in game development, you have to have a safe area where new players can learn the game and not be griefed off the game. You know, like if you're the guy where I torment you and you want to come out to like unmonitored space repeatedly and I just blow you up over and over and over again, it's not really griefing. Some people would call it that. But whereas what I think of griefing is if I sit there at the the noob spawn where you're a brand new player and you just spawn and I just constantly run into your ship and you never get to play the game and I just make you want to leave the server, then that would be more in the wheelhouse of griefing in my mind.
It's Zale coming into the noob zone with its M50 and it's going strafing people back and forth. So it's like, haha, I got Aurora, and the guy's in Aurora.
That could be considered griefing in a noob zone, yes. That's why you have the green zones and stuff like that, and you have armistice zones where you can't use weapons and those type of things. And I think those should be a little more punished than others. And that's why I was kind of surprised about the whole blowing up of unmanned ships was not cumulative inside the reputation system, because I mean that was people's main complaint, right? It's not, if you blow up unmanned ships, it doesn't add up. You get 1 point of criminality and that's it. And I'm okay with that because that's one of my favorite pastimes. But I'm just saying that I thought it was odd because a lot of people complain about that, the unmanned ship thing. So
Deltron doesn't want blob warfare from Eve.
I don't think you'll ever get blob warfare from Eve in this, buddy. Blob warfare in Eve is like 2,000 people show up and like camp you in a station.
Yeah, the servers and instances won't be able to handle anything to that scale.
I think if you ever get inside of 3 digits, you'll be lucky inside Star Citizen. If we get up to where we have like 200 people able to fight a space battle, I'll be more than thrilled in Star Citizen.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
2,000
especially since we
people
haven't
is
even
this-
started accounting for NPCs yet, because
The
they're
reason- yeah.
going to tax the server.
Exactly. The reason thousands of people in Eve work really well is because of the scale. You're in this tiny little dot of a ship on this huge, massive scale space. Inside Star Citizen, even if you could have a player battle of like 3,000 people, you'd never be able to perceive it. You wouldn't even see all the ships. It'd be so much there. So it'd be a waste, in my opinion, in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Isn't that
still
all
want to
Blob
take my
Warfare?
news van and fly through it and film it. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be neat. Man, just-
I'm actually really eager to see how that type of mechanic is going to play into the game, because
Yeah.
I have a feeling a lot of content creators are going to shift to in-game content creation, where they're actually
Filming.
transmitting live play over channels within the game to displays within the game, and you can sit there and you can watch someone stream Star Citizen inside of Star Citizen.
Right, like the Murray Cup, they're probably going to do that with first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Stop
when
me
you add
flying
that to
through a
gambling-
giant battlefield doing barrel rolls in his news van to avoid all the fire.
I can't wait till I can walk into like a bar and then like I can put down credits on like Trip Rodriguez for winning races inside Star Citizen. I'll be like, oh man, put it all on Trip. Let me have a brew, and I'll sit back and be able to watch the race on the monitor there while I cut a deal for the next contract that me and the rest of the boys from Overwatch have. Like, we got to go do this protection run, but we're gonna watch Trip race real quick on the screen.
And then some guy from Overwatch comes and puts the bet on WTF, punches you in your face for putting a bid on Trip.
Oh, you never know. Could happen. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for all that stuff.
Or steals your drink, and then there's a bar fight.
Yeah, the one thing I never got Chris to answer though inside Star Citizen, are they gonna have strippers? Are you gonna have strippers inside Star Citizen? Eve has strippers, even though they're not animated. You can't go see them. You can't do anything. Are there gonna be strippers at the bars?
There's going to be enough private servers you can have that there, okay?
Okay, this is on the official, like, what's it called? Goods list, I guess you would call it, was pleasure bots.
Pleasure box?
Yeah. Pleasure bots, like robots.
Oh, pleasure bots. I thought you were talking about a box. I'm like, what, they sell like adult toys inside Star Citizen now?
That sounds like something you'd list in Geekdomo's cargo hold.
Yep.
I'd say that's down the road. It's not really a priority.
I would say so too.
Are you talking about Geekdomo's Starfare filled of lube?
You got it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys in chat, if any of you have any questions or anything, now's the time to get to ask questions, bring up points of conversation. Ask anything that you might want our opinions about regarding Star Citizen, and only Star Citizen. But ask us about plumbing tips or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this. I mean, I don't know. I haven't got to play C yet. I didn't know if has it been more stable.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more stable now. You can stay in for like an hour or more.
Sweet.
I didn't actually get to put hands on C. B felt a lot more stable to me. I was able to play almost 2 straight hours of Arena Commander in B. And with D dropping earlier today, I'm actually going to get into some gameplay with that later. So I'll have to let you know.
Yeah.
Channing asks about the 300 series. In 2.1, you can't close the doors without turning the engine on, and the ladder sometimes bugs and will stay out while flying. In 2.2, is this fixed?
I don't fly the 300 series a lot, but I can say I have seen that bug before. I can't say that I've seen it inside here, but nobody's flying any 300s. Everybody's flying Sabres since they gave everybody a Sabre. So
I think
Yeah, I
I've
was
seen
gonna say
one.
that.
I've seen
I don't
one
think anybody-
300 in flight in the all 2.2 so far. And
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
pay
everyone's
attention
going to be
to a
flying
lot.
the Sabres right now.
well, it's
And
also
Fremont.
you'd actually have to own a 300 in order to fly it. It's not like we can rent them and put them in the PTU, or else I would test that for you.
I think
And-
most 300s have been melted by now, anyways.
No one particularly likes the 300 series. The only one that everybody buys is the 315P sometimes.
Which is
No
too
one-
bad.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be a
Junestar
good ship.
asked if
Just needs
is
some
there
help.
any news on getting rec equipment in the PTU? At this time, I haven't heard anything yet.
No.
We really need
Done.
to so that we can test out all this stuff better.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem we're having right now because, I mean, especially with them onlining more components and everything, we can't get all the different parts and pieces we need in a PTU to do it. But again, I understand why that's not a huge focus for CIG because that's not the point of the PTU to them. It's more of they want to test stability and push it to live. But I would argue testing these components to make sure they work is probably a good idea.
Weren't they talking about making the rec the currency in the game?
They
for
were at one
Alpha?
point, but I think they're going to do UEC.
That would take care of renting stuff situations.
It would, but I was saving my rec for that purpose. But I think that they're going to go ahead and just use a UEC metric and then reset it. So rec will only be for the simulators like Arena Commander and the other stuff once they bring the credits online, unfortunately. So
Oh, yeah, 2.0E is coming.
Right now,
They're working on the patch notes right now. It'll be pushed tonight.
oh, there you
Holy
go.
jeez.
cool.
I didn't even get to. I barely downloaded D.
Yep. Everyone's like, no one even got to play D.
Am I the only one here that's played each patch hours and hours?
I think so.
Well, me and Fred don't even have it, so no.
Yeah, they don't have it yet, so they can't do anything with it. I've been terribly sick, so this is really the first time I've gotten online doing anything.
Okay, some
My
guys
excuse
here
is a
need to go
pregnant
do more
wife.
bug reports. You need to do more
Yeah.
bug reports, guys. Come on.
Well, doing bug reports requires playing the game in the first place. So.
Well, not necessarily. If you see it in a stream, that can be a supportive argument for you witnessed a bug occurring.
I've put in lots of bug reports when I was not in a PTU, so it doesn't
you know-
matter when you do it.
Yeah.
I'm
It
okay
really
not
does.
having an invite because I got burnt out downloading a new patch every night and having to go to bed before it was done, waking up, getting home, and having to download a new patch before, and I wasn't even playing.
It looks like E just went live.
You need to. What you need
just
to
went
do,
live.
Kato, is.
I'm not complaining. I'm just,
no.
I'm
Just
okay
do a
not
remote
getting
in
it.
and download it. Don't wait
I
till
can't
you
remote in from work. I work in a government building.
You can remote
They
in
frown
from your,
upon
You
VPNs.
can remote in from your phone.
Use your cell phone.
Yeah, use your cell phone.
Team
remote in.
viewer from your cell phone.
Yeah, all you have to do is literally queue up Star Citizen remote. Team viewer, cell phone, click, done.
I could play Diablo 3 on my cell phone remotely.
So
You
everyone
should
in
stream
chat
that.
is
You're just playing
saying
Diablo 3 from your cell phone.
he just went live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exhausting.
Toy, is that a?
Oh yeah.
Is that any 300 series, or was it just like a 300i or something like that?
Val, I did see you upgrade to tier 3, and I appreciate your support on my Game Wish sub. So that's pretty cool, dude. Thank you. Wish I got a new sub counter I'm going to try to put up tonight.
But too bad we didn't get to see that guilty or clanmate, whatever you want to call it, from Eve again. I think it was 10 men or something like that.
Oh, 10 Man? 10 Man is, we won't talk about him right now. I'll talk about it off there. 10 Man, he's a great kid. A little unstable, but a great kid. So anyway, but if that's all you guys got for questions for tonight, guys, we're probably going to wrap it up. We usually run these things way long, and I know everybody wants to download the new patch. So, and I know I want to, and I can't broadcast all this and do that at the same time.
I would rather have an LN than an A325, so.
There you go.
Yeah, Aurora LN is a good ship. I hate to say it, but it's a great ship.
Warwag, no, we're at 24 players on the PT right now. It's not just 16. They're currently doing 24.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
Hopefully it stays that way.
Yep.
It's always fun when they do that because
They've
you
been
never
doing
know
it
if
every
you're going to
build.
spawn
They
into
haven't
the A
talked about
terminal or the
reeling
B
it back
terminal.
the other way. I see no reason why they won't push forward with 24.
They need to get more missions back in. There used to be 18 missions, 8 arrays, and 10 from the ICC, and ICC only has 1 now, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they got rid of one of the comm arrays.
Right. They went from 18 to 8 missions plus Kovalex, which is totally wrong. They need to add stuff, not take it away. That's the one thing I really don't like.
And I would say, I would even argue.
And with
now,
more people, it's a bigger problem.
It is a bigger problem. And when this
yeah.
goes to live, you're going to see a lot of people that aren't testers like us that are going to get bored way quick when you have that many people in there, because all there's going to be able to do is fight each other. That's it.
And there are only so many times you can do the Benny Summit.
Yep.
I'm reading the patch notes.
Did the Goon Squad make it into SC?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
But there's only about 400 of them, so they're quite outnumbered.
Well,
By
let's be
manpower.
realistic too, guys. You're not going to see the big numbers from any of the groups come online until the game's actually live.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I missed it.
Goon Swarm.
Oh.
It's Goon Swarm. It's SC, and if they are.
They'll pour in whenever there's more things. But the thing is, those type of number games aren't going to work in this.
Yeah, the number. Well,
Not
they're
to that
not
degree.
the,
What they're going
not
to
to
do.
the same degree, but looks like they fixed the LAHNE6 ballistic pistol not being able to completely picked up by the character, and fixed the issue where everybody on the server was given a laser rifle after killing a level 5 person.
Everyone was given the laser rifle.
Yeah, everyone on the server was getting
Yeah.
the.
It's like,
I know.
okay, it's like, my question is like, how do you know which one's your room?
When you walk
Just
out
where
of the
you
room, turn around. In the bottom right corner, it says Habit Pod with a number. You just have to remember the pod number.
Channing Live asked if there was any way for him to upgrade from a 325 or because it sucks. And then I asked him if he heard of the CCU system. Apparently he has not, so maybe we could cover the CCU real quick.
Okay.
You
Go ahead, Zelst. I know
go ahead and talk to about it. I get the link to it.
You get the
Oh,
link
okay.
too?
So the CCU was implemented earlier
months
this
ago?
year, a few months ago. Earlier,
Yeah,
Earlier
not this year,
last
last year.
it's 2016 now. But it pretty much allows you to take any ship you own and apply the credits that it's worth toward the purchase of a ship of equal or greater value. So if you do not like your 325A and you want to upgrade it, you can go to the link that Zealous just posted and upgrade it that way for a minimal fee. You don't lose any credits that way. And if
Basically,
there's
just have to pay the difference.
a ship of equivalent value, you don't have to pay anything. So that's a good tool that they implemented a while back. We are, I think,
Yeah.
expecting a downgrade system.
Yeah, we
in
are
the near
expecting a downgrade
future.
system.
And
I thought
that
they
will allow you.
backburnered that, though, didn't they?
It should be backburnered.
I don't think it should be a high priority. I'm not too worried about
It's not a high
But-
priority. They should
Yeah.
be getting the orc stuff and that first.
All they've done so far is acknowledge that it is a concern within the community. It is something the community wants, and it is something that they are going to address for the sake of the community. Just not right away.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you've got an old package, you don't want to melt it because you'll lose the Squadron 42. You
Oh,
want to
yeah.
only do upgrades. That makes a difference now.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
Yeah.
And stop changing your ship so often, people. Gosh, I haven't really melted anything yet, except
If you really want to pull your hair out there, Stout, I'll have you sit down with Zap for about an hour. And you'll probably just want to, get
I hear
yourself
about
out
so
there.
many people have had the same ship 5 times, and they melted it 5 times. I'm just
If I
what-
had a mind
what
map
is your
to
problem?
draw what Zap spot, it would be insane. It's like Zap's here, and then gets this new ship, and then goes back to this ship, and then goes over here to get this ship, then melt everything to get this other ship, and then melts that to get this package, and then melts that to get the other ships that she originally had to begin with. And I'm like, whatever you want to do at this point. Every time she comes on and tells me what ship she got, I'm just like, whatever. That's whatever you want to do.
there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah. It's like having a wife that buys new drapes every other weekend. I'm like, I really don't care. Do whatever you want with the windows, babe. It's all good. Just whatever you want to do. But yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time letting go of ships. I mean, it was a big decision for me to melt a Redeemer to get a Connie, even though it was temporary, just so I could fly it inside. The
It was a big
so-
decision for me just to melt my Constellation to get back my Dur, or
Absolutely. Stout, by the way, I just modded you too, so you won't get deleted links. I thought I did it before, but I guess I didn't.
I thought you did too, but
Yeah,
I
don't
think
know.
I was before, but you reset stuff up.
I did. So you got modded.
I probably
now,
said
so-
something you didn't like, whatever.
Probably just banned you. Didn't I?
no. If that was the case, Tokyo would probably end up in the same spot, but he's still a mod.
Tokyo, I can't unmod. I don't know. I think Tokyo's got some weird kung fu on the server, and it's like you just can't. he never lets go. You can't unmod Tokyo. Once you mod him, you never.
He's got you by the throat.
Mhm.
And then he sneaked in and add some random command.
There you go. All right. Let's see there. All right, I think we've got everything done for tonight, guys. But anyway, I'd like to thank Nighthawk, Zealous, Stoutman, and Kato all for joining me this evening. It's been a great show, guys. I really appreciate you being here. We'll be, over the next couple of days, we'll be showing you a schedule for next month, but we will be doing the Space Bro Show every Friday night at 10 p.m. CST, all through March. So get ready for some more Matachi March Madness, along with your favorite basketball games. So we'll be talking Star Citizen. So when you get tired of basketball, come here and let's talk SC. But again, thank you for all the supporters. Thank you for all the subs. Thank you for all the donators. Thank you for all the mods. And thank you for all my fellow streamers for keep on testing this stuff. And hopefully soon we'll see everybody live in 2.2 on the servers, and we'll all be able to experience it and have a great time together. So
Are you doing a after show, Mitt?
Oh,
or
yeah,
are
I'll
you
do it.
downloading?
I'll do an after show, but I mean, I don't know if everybody will hang around or not.
Okay.
We'll just be hanging out and stuff, and I'll
I'll be right back.
download. I don't know if I'll have time to play later tonight anyway, but I'll download and I'll do after shows. So it'll be really shitty. So don't judge me. Don't judge me, because I'll be streaming on one, downloading on the other machine. So hopefully it won't impact it too bad. All right, guys. Anyway, thank you again for watching. We'll see you in a little bit. I'll be back with a regular broadcast here in about 2 or 3 minutes. Have a great night, guys.
Night, everybody.
See ya.
Good night.